Okay, it worked this time. Good evening, one and all, and especially to Eat Me and Danny, les deux amis Montréalais, Montréalais, Gordon and Candy the Wonder Dog, who knows what I have in my pocket. Oh man, these bacon treats, I gotta stop buying these. Shake, lay down, speak, speak. Oh, very good voice tonight. Good to see you guys. Uh, Where are we tonight? It is the 26th. We are Wednesday, the 26th of February, 2025, 10:15, just after 10:15 a.m. Started on time. I was actually going to start a minute early, hit go live, and for whatever reason it lagged. This has happened before, and then I just closed that browser. It usually happens when I have two YouTube windows up, and that's what happened. Oh man, big news coming out. And the reason I had another YouTube window open was that I wanted to share a Fox News interview with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi and what she said with respect to the Epstein files. Uh, I'm just going to cue it up. It's a 6 minute long little video. And what she is saying is that we should expect tomorrow, Thursday, some information. I don't think she is saying that we're going to see all of the information, but we could be seeing some of the information with respect to Jeffrey Epstein. And everyone should know by now, anyone watching this is probably well aware, and there are individuals who know far more than I do about this, have gone down that rabbit hole. Epstein was first arrested in 2006 over allegations of what had happened on his island and involving high school teenage girls, molestation, rape. Oh, uh, it's difficult. It's a difficult topic to talk about. And it's one of the reasons why I think there's a tendency for people, there are some things people don't want to know. And this is one of them because it forces everyone to kind of put up a mirror and look at into the darkest recesses of their own soul. And so people push back and they, "Oh, I just don't want to go there. I just don't want to know." But hopefully we are going to find out. Brett Skinner is writing, "Oh, this will be fun because it will never get revealed." That is what I have written in the comments, is that, let's listen to what Pam Bondi said. This is on Fox News. I'm going to play the video in a show. And I'll make it nice and wide. Let's hear what
now. I can't even remember if I've congratulated you on your confirmation. Have I? If I haven't, congratulations.
Thank you. Only through text.
Okay,
so this
only
is the first
through
time in
text.
person. Thank you.
So, big cabinet meeting today. What happened that we don't know about when the camera?
Every question in the world at Donald Trump, and look how he answers. He's amazing, and he just keeps going and going and going, and he knows more than all of the media put together. And so then once they finally left, we got down to business. Methamphetamine in Wyoming, hundreds of pounds of methamphetamine. Arkansas yesterday, 100 pounds of methamphetamine. Think how many people that can kill. And they lace that stuff, they lace the meth with fentanyl. So we're out there fighting every day to save lives, domestically and internationally.
One of the things a lot of people are wondering is on your desk is, when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims, 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my.
See any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all.
Tomorrow is at least sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along
look for
with his
that.
co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for
He
sure.
sure did.
We're hearing reports that there was an investigation opened into James Comey, who may have thrown honeypots at Donald Trump back in the 2015, 2016 years. Is that true?
Jesse, I don't know anything about what you're saying about James Comey right now.
Okay. That was a report.
Don't know anything about that.
That was a report that was cited in the Washington Times. I'll take it at that. The
I've ended the sharing at this point. James Comey is the former FBI director, was the FBI director during Trump's first term. And I think he heavily politicized the role of FBI director. I think that much is obvious and clear. And it was pretty darn obvious to me where his sympathies lay in terms of who he wanted to see elected, in terms of what they decided to release, how they decided to frame things, the FBI. And Danny, it's not just you. Danny is asking, is it just him or is the video choppy? No, I live out in the sticks and my internet connection is not always robust. I don't have the biggest connection to the internet. And I've got Brett Skinner further saying that the thing that we need to be talking about right now is the price of eggs. That's something that's hitting the United States. It's not hitting us as badly here in Canada. You can get a dozen eggs at the grocery store for around $3-4 Canadian, depending on, you want the premium eggs, the organic, the grain-fed chicken eggs, or do you just want your normal bargain basement eggs? You're looking at around $3, $4, $5 for a dozen. I know it's much higher in the United States. Maybe you could tell us what you're paying out in Wyoming for a dozen eggs. I think everyone now is looking to get themselves some eggs and get a backyard chicken coop going. If either backyard or back 40, depending upon the size of your property. But the thing, getting back to Epstein, is I noticed that Bondi didn't say will be. She said hopefully, and echoing what Brett said. I have a tendency to believe that what people are going to be expecting, they're going to expect to see a manifest, a flight list. They want to know who was on that plane, who was visiting that island, and I suspect we're going to see a heavily redacted list, heavily redacted, and it's a question of some powerful individuals. How was it that Epstein was able to plea bargain down to no jail time after his 2006 trial? He was able to plea bargain it. Who's on that list? And I don't think it is a matter of Republican Democrat. I think both sides of the aisle are implicated. There are videos circulating, many will have seen it, of Donald Trump at a nightclub standing with Jeffrey Epstein, kind of surveying the dance floor and chatting quite amicably like they're two good friends. In Canada, we have Mark Carney, there are pictures of him and his wife and a guy who was on the board of directors at BlackRock, there's that name again, with Ghislaine, or however you pronounce her name, I'm used to the French, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend and co-defendant, who is now in jail. And our future prime minister, it's a slam dunk. On March 9th, the Liberals are going to anoint Mark Carney, who rubs elbows with the likes of Ghislaine Maxwell. And Carney, his claim is that his wife went to school with Ghislaine Maxwell and that he doesn't know her. Yeah, right. I don't believe it. I don't think anyone with two brain cells to rub together can believe that to be true. You get into this world, the political world is dark, incredibly dark, and everyone who swims in that water gets tainted. The political arena is a pigsty, and there's no way you can crawl into that arena and not have some of the smell rub off on you. And man, oh man, I am hopeful that tomorrow there is a bombshell. Will Justin Trudeau's name be on the list? There are leaked, documents. There are flight lists that have circulated around, but with no official provenance, so no one knows where these things came from. Is it just some troll on the internet putting out a list and making it look official? But on many of these lists, Justin Trudeau's name appears, and after we've seen what's happened to Bill and Melinda Gates. It used to be the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now it's the Bill Gates Foundation because Melinda divorced him. And she divorced him around the time that much of these revelations were coming out, when Jeffrey Epstein conveniently committed suicide in a secure facility that was supposed to be under 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365. The cameras never go off except when Jeffrey Epstein kills himself. My own personal view is that that wasn't Jeffrey Epstein. That's my own little conspiracy theory. I don't think that was Jeffrey Epstein who killed himself. It's the 100% totally unprovable conspiracy theory, but I think he's alive somewhere. Let me read what's being written. Brett is writing, if I remember correctly, Trump's first term, he said he would reveal stuff and nothing ever came of it. Now, in fairness, giving the benefit of the doubt to the Trump administration, Trump was going in as a political neophyte. He had never held a political office of any description, let alone the highest political office in the United States. And there are lifelong bureaucrats within the government in the US and Canada, all around the world. Any democracy, you have bureaucrats who are there through every change of administration. They know where the skeletons in the closet are. They know how to get things done. And Trump was coming in more or less blind. Is it possible that they circumvented a lot of what he wanted to do? I do not think that is an unreasonable supposition to make. That he, coming in as a political neophyte, he had advisors around him saying, appoint this person, appoint that person. People are looking, nepotism rules. People are looking after their friends. They're trying to scratch backs, play quid pro quo. You look after me, I'll look after you. You looked after me before, now I'll get you a juicy appointment. I'm sure that stuff has gone on, and nothing would be better than to see the entire system exposed. But if the entire system was exposed, if everything came out, all the dirty dealings, all the dirty laundry, if everything was revealed, could the body politic of the United States or Canada or Western Europe or any country survive if we knew the deep down dirty secrets that go on behind closed doors? I think we would find out there is a strong connection between government and organized crime, a massive connection. You saw it played up a bit, and they talked in there about they were insinuating that the FBI may have tried to lure Donald Trump into something of a honeypot scheme under Comey's watch when he was director of the FBI. And if you've seen the movie The Godfather, the second one, where Senator Geary of Nevada uh, is in a brothel, is in a house of ill repute, and ends up lying next to a dead hooker. And it is that little that incident which puts Senator Geary under the control of the criminal Corleone family. He has to back them now. I love those movies, and I think they speak more to reality than people would like to admit. The drugs, and does the U.S. government, are they engaged? I mean, we've all heard about Iran Contra. Someone the other day, not myself, but someone brought up the opium crop in Afghanistan, which the Taliban had shut down, and which, after the US invaded Afghanistan, the opium crop exploded again. And there are suggestions out there, and I think there is merit to these suggestions, that the US government is it's a great way to get your hands on some untraceable money. Let me read what's being written. Uh, Da, 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 da. Got to put on live chat instead of top chat. I've got to remember to do that. Okay. Danny is saying, please, plea bargain or not, he was still Epstein. Eat Me is writing, getting back to the chicken thing, in the US, didn't they cull over 1 million chickens due to the so-called bird flu? No wonder why the price of eggs are through the roof. I think it's actually in the millions, plural. I think individual farms are seeing millions culled. Um, and I don't know what it is in relation to, but Eat Me is saying, if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. Eat Me is saying, not you, Danny, the connection between Carney and Maxwell. Oh, yeah. If you believe that there's, oh, yeah, I don't know her. Yeah, right. Um, and Danny is saying that he bets that Justin Trudeau is on the Epstein flight list. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Would not surprise me at all. Wouldn't surprise me to find out that Mark Carney is more than just casual acquaintance of Ghislaine Maxwell. I would imagine they know each other. So one of his friend of a wife, you know her. And now, we found out through the debate that he was lying about the date when Brookfield, a company he was on the board of directors with, moved down to New York City. He misrepresented the facts. Others are saying he lied, and I think it's accurate to say Mark Carney lied. But Canadians don't care. Canadians aren't going to be concerned about it, because the mainstream media, the legacy media, is not going to shine a bright spotlight on it. They're not going to program people to care about it. They'll cover it, but as nothing news. You don't need to pay attention to this. It'll be bland, it'll be boring, it'll be, don't look here, folks. And then they'll move on to something else. When they want you to pay attention, they play the heavy-handed music, they use pejorative, loaded language, stunning news. Canadians are appalled. Oh, I'm supposed to be appalled. But otherwise, when they don't want to trigger a reaction from Canadians, like when Trudeau, all his blackface, when he lied and said, I only did blackface one time. And people were willing to say, okay, we all do stupid things as teenagers. Then we found out he did it again and again and again. Even when he was a teacher at a school, or on the roster at that school, he was still doing the blackface thing. And then later they asked him, how many times have you done it? You said it was just once, and now we found 3 other incidents. That's 4 in total. Are there more that you're not telling us about? And he said, I honestly can't give you a number. I can't tell you how many times, which tells me that Justin Trudeau put on blackface so many times that he can't even put a number on it himself. But the reason Canadians don't care about it is because the news didn't tell them to care. They just reported it very bland, matter of factly. If they had said stunning, people are shocked and appalled and disgusted to find out that Justin Trudeau not only wore blackface, but lied about the number of times he's done it. And then they could have triggered the reaction that they want. If they wanted to get Trudeau booted out, it would have been so easy. He's given them so much fodder, but the news programs people what to think, what to believe, and how to feel. And if the news doesn't tell you to be upset about something, then you're not upset about it. The news told people to be scared to death of the coronavirus, and 80% of the population complied. 70, 80%. They told the population that you should be angry at those truckers protesting in Ottawa and everyone supporting them, and 80% complied with their media masters. And now the mainstream media can do the same thing with this Epstein list, and makes you wonder who's on the list and what are we going to see tomorrow. And I do not expect we'll see anything bombshell. I think we'll get a little nothing burger will be tossed out to us, and it'll lead to more speculation than anything revelatory, if that's a word. Brett is writing. Well, before Brett, let me catch up. Okay, Danny is writing, if honesty and transparency were suddenly introduced into politics, the whole system would crumble. That's the point I'm making. Yeah, bang on. People would find out how dirty the system is that they've been participating in for their entire adult lives. And even if they're not voting, they're at least participating in the sense that they bend the knee to it, give legitimacy to it, they recognize the authority of it. If it is exposed to be, I mean, we're talking French Revolution. We're talking people losing their heads, Marie Antoinette and King Louis the 16th. We're talking about that level of corruption. If fully exposed, that would be the reaction. It would be akin to what happened in the 1800s. I forget what year the French Revolution took place, 1830s, 1820s, whenever it was. Brett is writing, all the dirty secrets can get released and nothing would happen. Benghazi, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Hunter Biden, must I keep going? The only difference is with those incidents, whether it be Benghazi, whether it was Hillary Clinton with her emails, whether it was Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky and goodness knows how many others, because promise me, Monica Lewinsky was not an outlier. She was not, the exception to the rule. I do think there is something to the Clinton body bag list. Everyone who died associate, when you look at what was it called, Whitewater, the property development scheme they were involved in, and you look at all the suspicious deaths that took place. It's too many, and it's not a Republican Democrat thing either. It's just when you get to that level of power, the deals you have to make are scary, absolutely scary. Eat Me is writing, tell that to Ken Pereira. He had a transparency bill under Harper. As soon as Trudeau came in, the law was repealed. I'll have to look into that one. Eat Me is writing, probably through the Bronfman family they met, meaning Ghislaine Maxwell and Mark Carney, our next prime minister. Danny's writing that Carney is a liar and belongs to the WFAF too. Yeah, he's all in on climate change, all in on putting a price on carbon, all in on playing games. So we'll take we're going to charge y'all, but we'll give you some back in the form of a rebate. And some Canadians are dumb enough to go along. Some Canadians actually think that Canada is a major contributor to carbon emissions in the world when we're not even close. So even if, and it's a big if, even if carbon is the big bag boogeyman that it's made out to be, Canada can't do anything anyway. And all we're doing is making ourselves poor. Danny's writing, where is it? People don't believe anything they see on TV. I would disagree. I think there are millions of Canadians who still rely on the mainstream nightly news. You'll hear people say, well, I watch news, but I know but they watch it. They watch it regularly. And it forms the topic of conversation around the water cooler, in the lunchroom. People are talking about the news of the day as reported by the mainstream media. And yeah, I think our American friends have more Americans as a percentage of the total population have woken up to the fact that the media is crap, garbage, useless. I mean, any media outlet that has to tell you your trusted source for news, why do you have to tell me that? Because you're not trustworthy. It's like when that salesman says, look, I'm going to be honest with you here. And automatically, okay, I can't trust this guy. He's telling me he's being honest. Anyone who tells you they're being honest is a liar. Anyone who says, I'm your trusted source is not to be trusted. Anyone who says, oh, you can rely on me, I'm a reliable source, is unreliable. That the fact that they have to tell you that, program it into your mind. You're, trust and rely, trust and reliable source for news, your trusted source. All these little euphemisms, all these little taglines they throw on are to embed it into our adult little collective conscious and get us believing lies. Top-notch manipulation tactic. Absolutely, eat me. I keep telling people about the words manipulations in news or polls when they say Canadians don't believe or agree. It only takes two persons to make a plural. Yeah. Oh, we saw it all the time in COVID. Experts say, and you read the article and they quote two, maybe three experts, and they totally abandoned any even semblance of journalistic ethics. Normally, what you do is you have an issue, you seek out both sides, people who disagree, and you present both arguments dispassionately with no bias. And what did our mainstream media did? They said we're only listening to experts who, from one side of the argument. It's the same thing with climate change. They never talk to any of the they don't talk to that professor emeritus from MIT and Harvard, who Linston, I think is his name, and countless others who are expressing expert qualified opinion and saying that carbon at best has a minimal impact on global climate. No, they're shut out because they don't go with the consensus. And this is the world we live in. And Canadians, I think, are waking up to it, but a lot slower than our American friends. And why? I think part of the reason is because in the United States, the public educational system has been abandoned in a lot of cases. The Americans, if they can afford it, stop sending their kids to public schools. They call them parochial schools, typically religious schools, Catholic schools, Christian schools. And I think when you get out of the mainstream public school system, you gain a better capacity to think critically than you do. The public school system is just there to indoctrinate and to teach you to spit things back out. And Canada's public educational system is far stronger than the United States. And so that's why I think Canadians are so much more easy to manipulate than our friends south of the border. Uh, Danny's right. 90%, 97% of doctors agree. Truth, 12 doctors were polled. Or how about this one? This is my favorite. In a recent government survey, 9 out of 10 doctors recommend. Recent government survey. How recent? 5 years ago? 10? 20? Recent is a relative term. How recent? 15 years ago? 20? Government. Recent government survey. What government? US government, Canadian government, European government, the regional government in Botswana? What government? In a recent government survey, 9 out of 10 doctors. Oh, doctors. Doctors of what? Doctors of divinity? Doctors of philosophy? Doctors of ethics? Doctors of what? Are these medical doctors? If you're talking about a medical opinion, 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this medicinal product. Well, what are the doctors? But it sounds so authoritative. In a recent government survey, 9 out of 10 doctors recommended ABC product. They don't tell you how recent, they don't tell you what government, and they don't tell you what the doctors are doctors of. We are so easy to manipulate. We're so easy to trigger, and we need to get over that. Thank you, Eat Me, for la recommendation pour les pouces, recommending the thumbs. Danny's writing that the Clinton body count is massive. If they wanted to, they could make Americans and Canadians and everyone around the world care deeply about all the suspicious and questionable deaths that occurred when Clinton was governor of Arkansas. They could. It wouldn't be hard to do. But instead, what they do is they program the population to call it a conspiracy theory. And they pejoratively have labeled anyone who engages in any conspiracy. If you talk about a conspiracy theory, you're a nut bar. And the fact of the matter is that people conspire. Watergate was a conspiracy. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln was a conspiracy. 8 or 9 people were hung, including a woman, for that criminal conspiracy. Anytime 2 or more people act together in order to commit a crime, it is a criminal conspiracy. The only difference is between a conspiracy theory and a criminal conspiracy is a criminal conspiracy is proven, and a conspiracy theory is something that is as yet unproven. As yet unproven. I'm just going to read up on the rest. Danny says, everything's a conspiracy theory until they see it on TV. Eat Me's writing, we are the trusted source for news, brought to you by Pfizer. How many times have you seen that? The Oscars, brought to you by Pfizer. And then Will Smith bitch slaps Chris Rock over a joke about his wife's loss of hair due to a condition called alopecia. Alopecia is a autoimmune condition which causes an individual to have no hair whatsoever, no eyebrows, forget beard, mustache, hair on top of the head. You don't even have eyebrows with alopecia. And it's a condition that Will Smith's wife, whatever her name is, she suffers from it. And Chris Rock made a joke, a G.I. Jane style joke, got bitch slapped by Will Smith, And it just so happened that right after that incident, the Oscars, brought to you by Pfizer, announced that they were going into phase 3 clinical trials for their new drug to treat alopecia. Everyone's talking about alopecia. Only reason I happen to know about it is I'm a basketball fan, and the Toronto Raptors, a number of years ago, going back, got to be to the 90s, had a player named Charlie Villanueva who suffered from the condition. And I have in my extended family, there's an individual who suffers from alopecia. So I knew about it already. Eat Me is writing, I keep telling people about the words manipulation in news or polls. When they say Canadians don't believe or agree, it only takes two persons to make it a plural. And there is something in politics referred to as push polling. And what they do is they frame the questions in a very pejorative fashion. Given the fact that Justin Trudeau and his Justin Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party, has been found guilty of yet another violation of Canada's ethics laws when he interfered in a criminal case, how likely are you to vote for the Liberals in the upcoming election? That's called a push poll. Rather than just asking the question in a banal, straightforward fashion, how likely are you to support Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party in an upcoming election? Are you very likely, somewhat likely, likely, not very likely, not at all likely? Yeah. That would be a standard polling. But if you want to push the results, you say, given that Justin Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada, given that he has just been found guilty of interfering in a criminal trial involving one of the Liberal Party's big donors, how likely are you to vote or support the Liberal Party in an upcoming election? He's and then it pushes the results down. Then you can blast your results. That would be the way that a conservative-minded push poll would be conducted, and you do the same thing in reverse. Push polling is huge in politics. I'm just trying to catch up. Danny's writing, the MSN who created and started the weather net. Oh, yeah, the gentleman, he was on CNN. I think it's the last time he was on a mainstream media outlet. The guy who created the weather network says that climate change, forget about it. It's a nothing burger. Climate changes. I don't like to say that climate doesn't change. Obviously, it does. We go through cyclical patterns of warming and cooling. Yeah, happens. It's happened throughout all of history. It's nothing new. It's not like all of a sudden, for the first time ever, climate is changing. It changed 1,000 years ago when the island of Greenland became habitable and Vikings established settlements that lasted 200 to 300 years because of climate change, because that ice covered land became green. The Vikings named it Greenland because of that. Eat Me is writing, Chris Rock so didn't need that biatch slap. Oh, I'm sure Chris was in on it too. I swear, when I watched it at the time that it happened, Will Smith was laughing at the joke, and it was like he missed his cue. It was like he kind of snapped out and went, "Oh yeah, that's my cue. Now I'm supposed to get mad. Time for me to show my, Oscar bona fides. Show that I'm a genuinely good actor." You know, that was scripted. That's my opinion. That was a totally scripted event. And that was a stage slap. That's all it was, a stage slap. Nothing more, nothing less. Danny's writing, the smack felt and heard around the world, yeah, was staged. No way any man would accept that except Jesus. Amen. No. We are in, it's going to be interesting. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. I now have a reason to look at the news, for something specific. I'm going to see what happens, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's a bombshell tomorrow. For mere entertainment value, to see Babylon falling in on itself. Babylon is fallen. Come out of her, my people. Babylon is falling. And that, I think a genuine bombshell release. The only thing is, I think there are names too powerful and too high up to be revealed. And so I expect there to be some lots of redaction. The only thing is, though, if names do get revealed, you may end up with, to quote another biblical reference, and I can't remember what book it's from, probably Samuel or something, or actually it would be in Judges, and that's the Samson scenario. And if you don't know the story of Samson, he was chained to two pillars in the palace at Babylon, and he was chained between the two supporting columns that held up the whole palace. And he prayed to God to restore his strength, blinded as he was, and he crashed. He sent the whole thing crashing down. And my thinking is that there may be individuals, if they get their names released, they just might start flapping their gums. And, Katie bar the door, and the names it'll be Pandora's box. And then everything will just come flooding out. And once you start opening the box, you can't close it back again. And we'll find out who really was traveling to that island. And Eat Me is, I didn't know Will Smith is a member of the Church of Scientology, along with guys like Tom Cruise. It's all about networking. It's all about, money, power, influence, and, getting dirt on people. You get dirt on someone, you can control them. How many people would want their entire lives laid bare? Everyone's got skeletons in their closet. Things that they are ashamed of, things that they wouldn't want to have revealed. And same here, and I think it's pretty much universal. I don't think there are many individuals, certainly not. And when you get to that strata of society, with the money, the power in those circles, it's a dangerous game, and things are going to come crashing down. We'll see when. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I'm getting in touch with George, my buddy in Montreal, Lebanese born, and spent most of his life growing up, his early years anyway, up until university age. He was in Lebanon, which is the country north of Israel. And I want to get his take on everything that's happening in the Middle East, because he provides such an amazing perspective on it. And on top of that, he wants to do it live on my station. So I hope I'm going to try and pin him down to do one either on Friday or Saturday night. And we'll see if, and I'll publicize it a bit somehow. I'll put out a little teaser video and let you know that it's coming up. And I hope everyone shows up, and with lots of questions for him, because he's an amazing resource on the Middle East, amazing resource on the Christian faith, also on Islam. He's read the Quran in the original Arabic. The best I've been able to do is to read parts of it, English translated. Whale Oil Beef is here and says, pleasures and of greater value than money when you have too much money. Yeah. When you get to that level, when you get to the level of the people who were traveling in Epstein's circle, like Bill Gates. Bill Gates has more money than he could spend in 100 lifetimes. So what feeds him? What motivates him? What drives him? It's power and control. And when you get into the sexual realm and this idea of power and control, things can get very, very, very dark. And Eat Me saying cool about, I'm assuming that has to do with George Antonios, Dr. George Antonios. It's one thing I have to find out specifically. I know he's his PhD is in the realm of theology, but I'm gonna find out what it was his thesis on. What is his particular theology? Even theology is broad based. It's a broad based, you know, spectrum, and to find out exactly what he fixated on in his PhD dissertation. That'll be interesting to find out. I don't know the answer. I just know George is a wealth of information, and I look forward to having him on, interacting with you guys. He's looking forward to it too. Check out his channel. It's called Counsel and Might, Counsel and symbol might, and you're in for a treat when we finally get down. And if you can think of questions that well, you're going to get a chance to ask them directly, so you don't have to rely on me. I have Eat Me saying that Gates is a eugenicist, that lovely science of eugenics, like his mama Margaret Sanger, who created plant. Wait a minute. Bill Gates is the son of Margaret Sanger, or is that more of his spiritual mama? And Danny's saying, "Amen, eat me." But please tell Gates is not. Danny's saying Gates is the Antichrist in a sweater. He's too obvious for my way of thinking. I don't know whether you all just saw the tweet that Elon Musk put out. But Elon Musk put out a tweet talking about talking up mRNA and saying that his opinion, his tweet, that mRNA, that it was brought out too quickly for the COVID jab, that was brought out too quickly, the dosage was too high, and blah, blah, blah. Bunch of, like he's a medical expert all of a sudden, but whatever. And he said, but he is convinced that mRNA, that the platform will lead to the eradication or a cure for cancer. If you ask me who I think the Antichrist is, Elon Musk is number one on my list. And he worries me far more than Donald Trump. He's pushing the AI revolution. He's pushing digital currency big time. And, it's the old question of who watches the watchers. Okay. You're giving him all these sweeping powers. Who's watching Elon Musk? The founding fathers were brilliant in introducing the checks and balances so that no one singular branch of government was supreme. There were checks and balances, executive, legislative, judiciary. And it's a tough balancing act. And when you get into power politics, every group is looking to undermine the other and to be the top dog. Anyway, let me finish off. Danny's saying, what about King Charles? Some say the Antichrist will be from the Carpathians. What's going to be interesting to see is what happens if Pope Francis dies. Who will be the new pope? Because the papacy is an incredibly political institution from its inception, it's been primarily far less spiritual in my books and far more political. And who the Pope wades in on everything from economics to climate change. Pope Francis has been big on promoting the climate change agenda, same as Mark Carney and all the rest of them. And who are they going to pick to replace? Who will get selected to be the next Pontificate Maximus? There's a neat little term to look up. Before Rome took over Christianity in 325 AD, they were a pagan country, pagan empire, and they had a religious order called the Pontificate, and the head of the pontificate was called the Pontificate Maximus. And they were the religious rulers of their day. You had the Pontificate Maximus, the rest of the pontificate. They had a very pyramidal structure. And you'll remember Jesus said, you want to lead, you got to follow. You want to be first, you got to be last. And Rome came along and said, well, that's not a Roman structure. We're going to have a pope, pontiff, then we'll have our cardinals, then we'll have our bishops, then we'll have our priests, then we'll have our brotherly and sisterly orders, and then we'll have the mass, the horde underneath. And that's the way a Roman structure works. Jesus turned the world upside down. Jesus said, you want to lead, you have to follow. You want to be first, you got to be last. Rome said, no, 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 no. That's not the way we operate. We need a Roman model for this Christian faith. Sorry, Jesus, you're done now. You did your job. Now we're taking over and we're running this thing. It's a great book, a book within a book. Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. And there's a book within a book. There are three brothers, well, four, three full brothers, one half brother. It's like The Brothers Karamazov has some commonalities with The Godfather. Mario Puzo, who wrote the Godfather novel, one of his favorite books was The Brothers Karamazov. And I read The Brothers Karamazov first, but I was curious. And sure enough, it turned out that Mario Puzo, yep, Brothers Karamazov, one of his favorite books, because in The Brothers Karamazov, you had three full brothers. One was Dmitri, who was like Sonny Corleone in the Godfather. He was into power, drinking, women, sating his appetites. He was that was Dmitri. Then there was Ivan. Ivan was the intellectual, kind of the Tom Hagen of the group, and highly intellectual. Then there was Aloysia, and Aloysia was a novice monk. He was the religious and spiritual brother. And then there was a half brother named Fyodor, who was epileptic and a fool, kind of like Fredo and it's kind of a model, that literary model, to have four characters, and different personality types as your main characters. Dumas did the same thing with the Three Musketeers. But in the book, The Brothers Karamazov, Ivan is meeting with Aloysia, and he's just written a book, a small little essay, if you will, that's being published in a prominent journal, in a prominent newspaper or magazine, and it's called The Grand Inquisitor. And Jesus, during the Inquisition in Spain, when they're burning 150 or whatever the number was, heretics every night, Jews who wouldn't convert and everyone else who was accused of heresy, were burning at the stake. And Jesus came back, and everyone knew it was him. And he raised a child from the dead, and they all knew it was him, that he had come back. But then the Grand Inquisitor came, and everyone was so afraid of the Grand Inquisitor that they all pulled away from Jesus and left Jesus standing alone. And the Grand Inquisitor pointed his finger at him and had Jesus put into prison. And then the Grand Inquisitor met with Jesus in prison, and Jesus never says a word. But the Grand Inquisitor says, what are you doing back here? You did your job 2,000 years ago. Remember, you said man cannot live on bread alone? Yeah, but who can live on the spiritual bread you talk of? They need us. You did your job, now it's on us. And then he opens the door and lets Jesus leave. I'll invite you to read it. You don't have to read the Brothers Karamazov, which is a huge book, but you can read just the Grand Inquisitor, a novel within a novel, a book within a book, and it's amazing. Anyway, Danny, what about King Charles? I don't think so. I don't think so, because King Charles is too well known all around the world. Maybe, and probably Elon Musk is too, but hey. Whale Oil is writing that MLB is now using AI for some of their exhibition games. For are they? I've seen they've tested in the minor leagues where they're using a human umpire, but if a player wants to challenge a strike call or a ball, in the case of a pitcher, they tap their head, and within a second or two, it gives the proper call, either holding up what the umpire ruled or overruling the umpire. And whatever, it's baseball. Danny's writing that Vatican II is pure evil and satanic. And Emi is saying we will have to wait for the white smoke to know who the next pope will be when the Jesuit passes away. And Danny thinks it will be another Jesuit. We'll find out. And Emi's writing, you think another radical brought to you by Pfizer. And today's live stream was not brought to you by Pfizer or any other pharmaceutical company. You guys should watch. I know everyone here is into this. Check out John Campbell's. It dropped within the last 24 hours, talking about a certain number of days, 700 days. I think that's what it's called, 700 days. And talking about there seems to be high incidence of autoimmune type conditions, reactions that seem to be happening around the 700-day mark. The 700-day mark from what? You can figure that out on your own, but watch them. If you haven't seen it already, it's a short one, shorter than mine. I've come up to an hour. I'm going to let you go. I am working tomorrow. Hopefully get have a live going soon with my buddy George, great brother in Christ. But until then, I'll leave you with the words I always leave you with. May the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. And may the Lord grant you peace. This world is crazy. It's going to get crazier. Abide in him who was there at the beginning. And you've got no worries. Just enjoy the show. And know that you have a home, you have a place that's been prepared for you in advance. In my Father's house, there are many rooms, Jesus said. So, yeah, whale oil beef, you nailed it. ADE. I think that's it. Antibody dependency enhancement. I heard a lot about that. I've heard enough about that from Geert Vanden Bosch, from countless others. But good night, all. Hey, Laura showed up, a little late, but that's okay. Good to see everyone here. Thank you for all the thumbs up. And hey, if you made it through an hour of this and you're not subscribed to my channel yet, and if you're so inclined, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. And we'll talk to y'all very soon. We'll see what happens tomorrow with this list, with what the information on Epstein. And if enough gets released, I think the dam could burst. I think people could start singing. Are you going to take me down? Well, I wasn't the only one there. And some bigger names could come out. That's what I mean by the dam bursting. But will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. God bless all. Good night.